All right, we now have a new guest joining us. Mike Davis stopped. We now have Ron McKay. Ron is one of the first and the original investors in the B2 Fighting Series. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, Chris, and it's great to be here in Kokomo and see the progress that B2's made and our local partners. And it's just it's absolutely phenomenal to see the fans and the fighters, and it's my pleasure.
What do you think of the crowd here? Pretty awesome, huh?
It's amazing because I was talking about, matter of fact, you and I spoke about 3 years ago when I went to my very first MMA event when B2 first started. The production's unbelievable. The whole cage and the TV and the signal. It looks better than my TV at home, actually.
They really put on a good show here. They make the fighters feel like they're somebody, and they make you feel like a professional.
Well, and that's a big part of this. What we're trying to do is get to the next level. They better be used to it, because I don't know how many people I've seen go to the UFC the first time, and they're like a deer in headlights, and they just can't believe what's going on. The fight is the last thing on their mind, and that's a problem. When the guy you're getting ready to fight has been there several times, he's ready to take your head off, and you're looking up at the lights in the ring card drills, it's not going to be a good night for you. So you have to be prepared for that, ready for that, and that's one of the aspects. We try and do many things, but that's one of them.
That actually, is part of the motto and the original vision, was to take this area of the sport and overlay what you just spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's face it, you take a guy that's in the, single A, double A, triple A, in baseball, and that's the reason why it exists, to get them ready for that day when they swing the bat the first time in the big leagues. And that's what you guys are doing now, and that's what's fantastic about the entire B2 and all our partners.
I've been really impressed, especially with this card that we're talking about right now. Those were our amateur fights, and I thought every one of those fights was very entertaining.
Everyone could have been a pro fight.
I agree. So that's just a testament to our amateur, what we do for, and all the organizations. Our amateur cards are very, very high level, in my opinion.
I would agree. I became a fan as part of the business. I did not, follow the sport, and even tonight to see everything up close. And what I liked about it was there was constant action. And if that was at the amateur level constant action, I'm looking forward to the next series of fights with the pros.
What got you involved with wanting to be part of B2 Fighting Series?
Absolutely. When I first heard the vision, there was no fighting series. It was strictly on paper. And what really had got my interest was the chairman and founder, Greg Bell, and I had been friends, and we've done some other businesses globally in the sports and entertainment world. And he shared with me the real concept of that there was a void in the industry where just these markets, I call them, startup cities, development cities, and to take these towns and cities and organize and give these guys a better chance to be successful. And success can be defined in a lot of ways.
Of course.
And that's not just about getting to UFC or Beltros. It's about just enjoying what you do and being competitive and being able to do it in a manner that you're proud about what you do. And the same thing related to the vision of what the product would be in each one of these regions. And I, listened to him for a year, actually, before I actually made the move. And
a little persuasion.
Absolutely. And on my 50th birthday in Miami, he came to it, and he got me hung over the next morning, and I wrote a check. No, my background is audience development, engagement, and as I said, I became a fan of the sport by becoming a fan of the business. And what I really, really loved about the business was the fact that there is so much engagement with the audience. These fans are so loyal, retention, engagement. It's amazing. It's like its own following that you would never even realize.
Yep.
And that's really what sold me. The marketplace, the target market, and the audience.
One thing I remember, I was in Vegas once getting ready for a fight, and I had a lady who was there. We were just sitting there eating breakfast, and she kind of came and sat down next to me and was like, I cannot believe you guys are this approachable. She really enjoyed the engagement level that we can have with the fans, and that's why they are so loyal.
one of his lawyers from Indianapolis was at the hotel where we were going through, and he says, "Chris, what are you doing here?" And they were taking pictures and everything together. And I told the chairman, I said, "You know what, Greg," I said, "you were right. This guy, everybody knows him. But the best part about it is what Chris just said. He himself is so approachable.
That's it.
You know,
he'll stop and talk to anybody.
Absolutely.
Most of the fighters, we're all big-hearted guys. You know, you talk to any of the guys, and they're always approachable. Good for pictures and autographs, and that's the sport. You know, that's the sport in a nutshell, and that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
It's a sport of love. It really is.
Well, and Rocky, it comes through community-based. You know, so it's like you take this and you look at this tonight. This is a community, and you know, and because the sport really, I mean, if you really look at the history of the sport, overnight it went from centralization and big, but it was then behind on how do you get there? What's my route to get there? Or what's even like, you know, my way to train, you know, centralized, you know, training and things like that. And what I'm excited about, one of the reasons why I came up to this event was to see the new gym that B2 just, you know, acquired, and the concept that Chris has of centralizing the training, and he developed and designed a great room there today. And
let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Chris, that's a big part of the business now.
Sure. I mean, what we're trying to do is trying to put a good training facility in about every state that we put fights on. What we want to do is give that a hub for all the fighters. Like, our job is not just to put on fights. We want to make the best fighters possible. We want these fighters, when they do go to the UFC, we don't want them going. We want them winning. We want them staying. We want them being a force. So we have to develop fighters who have that ability. Not only fighters, we want coaches, trainers, managers who understand this. So we're going to have a seminar here, probably the first one this summer, and we're going to bring people in for free. We're going to have hotels for them to stay in. We're going to give them things. What we want them to do is teach them how to have different workout routines. We're going to teach them how to have better nutrition. We're going to teach them to do plyometrics, to do everything that it takes to be successful at that next level. Because if you're in Florida and you're an American top team, you know that you have nutritionists. You know, if you're in some gym, you know, in Kokomo, Indiana, you might not have it.
Right.
They do have it here, but a lot of the local areas around here do not. And a lot of the, you know, outlying places around the state do not have that. So we're wanting to bring them here and teach them a little bit about things that, you know, I've learned being on the UFC reality show, things that some of our other instructors have learned. We're going to bring in about 5 good, you know, different coaches and people who actually know what it takes to get there and inform everybody else, because they can make their fighters better than where they're at, and they can come and they can train at the gym. We're trying to put a world-class facility together. It's got a great place. They got the Gara guys there. They got great mat space and good techniques here. We're having a stand-up room that's being put together right now. It's looking very good. So we just want to have the best of everything, and great. We have a 25,000 square foot weight room equipment. You know, sprints. You can do anything you want in there, anything to get ready for a fight. So it's very exciting. I wish I would have had anything like this when I was trying to do fights. I remember I brought this up earlier. I was, you know, went to the UFC training facility. I was in Las Vegas, and I was on the Ultimate Fighter reality show, and they go, okay, today we're doing plyometrics. I remember I looked at them and I go, plyometrics, what are these things you speak? And
trying to figure out the etymology of the word.
Well,
you were Googling it real fast,
they go,
right?
You don't do plyometrics? I'm like, no. They're like, how did you even get here, Chris? Like, I don't know. I could just fight well. So, but now I learned those techniques, and I brought them back to Indianapolis, and I showed all my guys, and I've showed them all the things I learned. The weight work, you know, just different things that I picked up. Everybody has to know if you want to make it to that level nowadays. The direction this sport has gone in is better athletes, better wrestlers, better training, better technique. And if you don't have that, you're going to be left behind. And that's the goal here, is to get people from Middle America, from, you know, the Kokomos of the world, and give them an actual opportunity to go to the UFC without moving down to American top team.
And that's the thing. That's awesome what you guys are doing, because so often I hear the stigmata that, oh, you're from the Midwest. You got to move out west. You got to move out to California. If you want to make it big, you got to get out west. And I hate that stigmata.
Right.
And what you're doing really brings some credibility to local Indiana MMA. It's awesome.
That is the entire goal, and it's not only Indiana. We're doing this in Iowa. We're doing it in Michigan. We're doing it in Kentucky. We're trying to do it all over.
We're going to do it everywhere where we have a partner.
We are expanding. We're looking to go several other places where this is going to be a rally for everybody, but they don't have to leave home and go down to Florida or out. There's about 4 hubs we have to move to if you're going to be good. We don't want that. We want you to be able to stay around here, stick with your roots, have a family, whatever, but still be able to compete at that big level.
Yeah, and what I find interesting is what UFC is putting a lot of money into is the analytics business of analyzing what the guys that are winning are actually doing, what the guys that are losing, what's causing it. It's a big part of their business. And if you take a look at the way baseball's overdone analytics, and because technology is so much fluidity in technology, and B2 being the base in its history, of a lot of technology-based skill sets, you can bring this technology to the everyday person and bridge the gap, like you said, from Kokomo to the Vegas UFC, fight center, and right in your own backyard.
Right. Awesome what you guys are doing there.
It's a good time to be involved with this, and to your point earlier, you have AAA, AA in baseball. You have college football. There has been nothing here. In a way that seemed like the UFC for many years were almost trying to shut people down who were doing startups because they didn't want the competition. But you need feeder programs.
Absolutely.
And we just have to convince them we're not trying to compete with you. We want to help you. We want to be your feeder program. It's kind of the entire goal.
Yep. Yeah. Well, baseball went through that same growing pain. They looked at the local, the AA's, AAA's as a competitor, and then they started realizing, no. They're our partners. Then they supported them with like a support type of deal, and then eventually just bought everybody out. And I just saw, I think it just recently, I saw UFC bought a league in Europe strictly for it. I think I saw Dana say to get the feeder of the boxers and the martial arts and the athletes in Europe to connect them with you. And that was his whole line, to be a feeder development company from Europe.
That's weird that they have one for Europe, but
that's what I'm saying. That's my point. Exactly. Some people time you take your own backyard for granted.
Yeah.
That's a good saying.
Yeah.
So Chris, how did you ever connect with B2 and our owners?
I just kind of got really lucky. I had worked a little bit with Colosseum Combat and talked with Mark Slater, and he kind of asked me to do some commentary, and I was doing a little bit of commentary here and there, and I was like, sure, I'd love to do some commentary. And I started seeing about the B2, and I was like, okay, I'd like to know a little bit more about this. And I just basically heard about the stock, it trains at BTDG, and I was like, I'd like to know a little bit more about that. And I was talking to him, I'd like to buy some. How do I buy it? And Mark said, well, let me talk, to Greg Bell, and we might be able to get you to get involved with the fight, have you, we have a role for you if you'd be interested.
Sure.
I've been involved with this sport for years. I've always tried to get something similar, but we never had the resources.
Right.
Like, I always wanted to help my guys who I helped train get to the next level, but it was very difficult. You had to keep fighting local, and there just wasn't a good avenue, not good paths, and all these people were competing against each other. All these local promoters didn't like each other. You can't fight here, you can't fight there. These are my guys, your guys, whatever. And when I talked to Greg, I sat down and he explained the vision. And I was like, this is funny because this is something I've always kind of had, like not this thought, but what I've wanted, but I didn't know how the avenue how to do it.
Right.
And he offered me the avenue, and he gave me the opportunity to help him make it happen. So I've jumped in, and luckily, as soon as I've known a lot of people in this world, so I've opened some doors for him, and we've got a lot more companies right away. So it's worked out very quickly, very rapidly since I've got involved. I've just been amazed at the growth that we've had here, and I'm loving it.
I even today in our meetings today, listening to you about, even the knowledge of, and listen, the entire world is relationships.
100%.
And business more than anything. And when you take anything that's entertainment or sports, which is all entertainment, you have a lot of personalities involved.
Yeah.
And today I was impressed just sitting there listening to you, balancing out, talking about this personality, and we'll put them together, and we'll bring this together, bring that together. And it's funny because you think about, like, Philadelphia or Miami, the cities where I've lived and everything, like, that's like such an issue in sports and entertainment, and you don't realize it don't make a difference if you're in, the heart of America in a town or Kokomo, people are still people, still personalities and egos and everything else, and you got to pull them all together. And today, that was to hear you with that, and to say beyond what you bring to the table with your knowledge of the sport and the actual aspect of being a competitor, it was great to hear today that skill set of being able to put the right people with the right people in order to make our company grow and the sport mesh in all these markets. And I was very impressed, and I was happy to be able to have the privilege to listen to that today.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm really trying to become a sponge, and luckily for me, I've learned not only in fighting, I want to be a sponge and learn everything, but in many aspects of life. I know where I'm strong and I know where I'm deficient, and I'm always trying to learn more. So the more I can learn, the better. And that's one thing I'm learning, coming to business is I don't care if people like each other, and I don't care if they get along, but my job is to get this job done. I'm very goal oriented, and if this is my job, I got to get it done no matter what. And I got to get other people who are like that. Yeah. This isn't high school, and if you're gonna have high school issues, I don't need to be around you. You don't need to be working with us. Right, we're not gonna have you working with us. We want people who, this is your job. We got to get it done no matter what. Whatever it takes, you get this job done.
Every successful business has it.
Exactly.
I mean, listen, human nature is human nature. You're not going to like everybody. No. I always tell my employees, and even when they talk to me as an owner-manager, I said, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to help you be successful. In turn, that's going to help the company be successful. But I do ask for your respect, and that's the key. And listening to you today, and everything that goes on with B2, and what's been really what I've had the advantage and pleasure to be able to see in the last 3 years is how B2 and Greg Bell have been able to find the right partners, from Hard Rock MMA and Colosseum Compact and Pinnacle and things like that, because that's not an easy thing either. To find the right people that can share the same vision. Don't have to agree with you. Don't have to have the same thoughts and everything. You want to surround yourself with people that have that balance of different ideas and things. And you can see tonight how it all comes together in a production type of style where all the different people that make this thing happen tonight, a lot goes into it. People watching at home or watching it when they download, don't realize how much goes into this thing. They started 2-3 days ago. Everyone flew in. It was easy for me. I just showed up, but a lot goes into this production, and it was just, to me, been a phenomenal 24 hours to see how far it's come in 3 years.
Well, especially when you look at when they get a sheet that says this is what you need to be doing 3 months out, and then this is what you need to be doing 2 months out, and then 6 weeks. And there's stuff you have to do at every level. It's not like you wait till the week before, go rent some tables and chairs and throw it together. I mean, you got a lot of deadlines you have to meet. And, this thing doesn't happen in a week. You have months of planning for every fight. We got multiple fights. We have a fight up in Michigan, in about 4 weeks from now. And all that's being done right now.
Yeah. And you talked about the stock when you said, you talked to Mark Slater locally, how you can get involved. I always relate the opportunity investment with B2 with the fact that, like fans of the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
You could own a piece. They're the only franchise in the NFL where the fans are the owners. Boston Celtics did something similar. And I go all the way back as far as just as business. When I was growing up, my parents bought 1 share of stock of Disney for $100 back then, because you could get 20% off when you went to Disney World. You felt like you were a partner.
You are a partner.
Absolutely.
You're a part owner of that, which is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the opportunity that I hope, as time goes on, that we even expand upon, and more people can be able to have the opportunity to come on board as our partners in all the markets and everywhere we go.
Well, I would love that. But not only for that reason of them being partners, but I would like these people to have the ability to probably make some money. You never know what's going on with the stock, but I'm a firm believer that the stock will do very well just because of all the growth we're having.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and the best is it's that vested interest.
Yeah.
And, if you think about it, these guys are out here tonight spending money, and the fighters are working their butts off to get into this position. To be able to also have that opportunity, which most people don't in life, to invest in themselves in a commercial entity that hey, listen, you just don't know how investments go. But the point is, at the end of the day, it's an investment in yourself no matter what. If you're in this sport and you're here tonight anyway fighting, and you're already here, you know, patronizing the business,
Exactly.
you might as well. There's no downside.
Exactly, exactly.
Well, I'm going to sign off, gentlemen. It was my pleasure.
Well, hey,
I
thank you.
look for more. I'll go home and practice for next time for more color commentating.
No, thank you for being here, and thank you for getting this ball rolling and making this whole thing possible. You
guys.
were around before I was even around.
Yeah. I look forward to many more events with you.
For sure.
Loving it.